Before we look in more detail at how we actually operate McKinley, it would be good to just introduce you to the stations that we operate and explain a little bit how they're in some ways different and in some ways the same. One of the exciting things about working at McKinley, and the fun things, is that you're actually operating a fairly large-scale model railway, but you're operating it prototypically. So this is one of our first stations. This is Birmingham Station. We would normally have at least one, if not two people operating here. One would operate the signal box, giving access to different parts of the station and making sure that the lines are through lines when trains are coming. Most of those are operated by the computer, and as you see here, here's one coming through now. Now I don't need to worry about that. As the station manager, I can get on and do other things that I need to do in the station. But we've got to make sure that those platforms are clear and that they're open to let that train come through. And again, that'll move off on its own, at least under computer control. I don't need to be concerned. The other thing about a through station like Birmingham is that all the time we've got to watch our schedule. Things are coming through. Some of those are express trains, but we also have some goods areas at the back where we can break up some goods trains, and we've got to make sure that they're not on the fast tracks where the fast trains are coming through. We also have a brewery. We also have a small yard. But that's typically what we're doing here. We're managing the station as a station manager would do prototypically, making sure platforms are free and allowing those through trains to get through to other stations. You'll also notice on here there are some carriages on the back, but they belong to London. And let's go on and have a look at the London station. Now we're moving on to a more complex station. This is our prototypical London station. This happens to be, well, some people might recognise it, a bit like Paddington. That's what we believe it is. It's got 7 or 8 platforms, and I say 7 or 8 because it depends whether you include the mail area and the parcels that are coming in. And we've also got a platform that has a DMU that comes in and out throughout the operating timetable. Typically we work with 2 or 3 people here. One is obviously operating the engines and putting engines back onto trains on the main station. And things are arriving all the time. Trains are coming in, going out. We don't need to worry about that. We can be actually doing some shunting here with the parcel vans. In fact, here we come. There's one coming in now that, like on Birmingham, this is under control of the computer. It's already chosen which platform it's going into, and we can let that finish its roll into the platforms. But again, we'll be working in the sheds over this side to pick some engines to put back on that train to send it somewhere else. That could have come from Glasgow, it could have come from Manchester, and we'll be sending it out again pretty quickly. So this station again has a narrow throat, a bit like our other terminus station that we're going to move on to in a moment. So we have to be conscious all the time of the traffic that's coming in and going out so we can keep a good control on it. Talking about the other station, that's Manchester. That's over this side of the layout, and we'll talk about Manchester now. This is Manchester Park Street, as we call it. Again, a terminus station, very busy station. This is one of my personal favourites. It has a very narrow lead-in, or a throat. We've got 4 main passenger platforms. We've also got a goods area where we break up trains, move things about. And we also have a brewery here as well. So there's quite a lot going on. We typically work here with at least 2 people. We not only have the station to manage and the goods to deal with, but we've also got some sheds, we've also got a turntable, and we've got to make sure that those engines that have finished their particular schedule are actually taken through the sheds for servicing and turned around so that they're ready to be put back onto trains to head off to London or Glasgow or Southampton or wherever they're going. The challenge on this station, like all the others, is that we must ensure that at least one platform is free all the time. Because the computer is doing some things automatically. I can set trains off, like I can release this platform, and once I've released it, I don't need to worry too much about it because the computer has taken control. One of the things about working on McKinley is that some of that stuff is automated and I don't need to be too concerned. That's going off to Glasgow or Southampton, and it means me as station manager, I can get on and do all those other wonderful things that I like doing. I can be shunting in the goods yard, I can be managing some of the engines through the sheds. And that's why typically we need 2 people here. The challenge, like always, is to make sure some of those platforms are empty and look at the schedule that we're working on to see what's coming in, and then we're prepared for it. And that's really Manchester. We have one other that we need to mention, which is Port Arlington, as we call it. And this is really a depiction of a typical exchange yard. So what's happening here throughout the operating session, trains are arriving with goods, they're put into different sidings, and then they're split up to go to their different destinations. This area usually is operated by one person. They have a small signal box that they can operate from, and their challenge is to make sure that those trains are ready with the appropriate goods wagons on, ready for departure at the times that are in the schedule. So that's Port Arlington. So that's our 3 main stations in our exchange yard, and we'll tell you a little bit more about the detail of operating later on.